You're listening to Sea to Sky podcast, For Sisters by Sisters with Marina Thompson and Dana Moreland. Brought to you by Sea to Sky alumni chapter of Alpha Omicron Pi. Welcome everyone to this episode of Sea to Sky podcast. In our virtual studio, Dana and I are joined by three incredible women. Two of them are network specialists, and one is a brand new alumna. What they have in common, you ask? They all went to our 2025 International Convention, and they have some incredible stories to share. Please welcome Rhonda, Hilary, and Shambhavi. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. My first question for all of you, since you all attended the 2025 International Convention, is what was the highlight of the convention in your experience? And maybe Shambhavi, you can kick it off as a first-time attendee at the convention.
Honestly, the whole experience was super new just in general. It was not what I was expecting it to be. I think I've been telling everyone it was super overwhelming and then it was over, but it was great. I had a really good time. One of the highlights out of everything that happened would definitely be during the Inspire Ambition luncheon. I was sitting at a table with no one that I knew. Everyone on that table was unknown to me. And I did not realize that that was also the luncheon that the awards were going to be announced at. So I was sitting there with my little name tag on, and like everybody was asking me like what my role was, what I do with Sea to Sky, and what Sea to Sky was just in general. So I think I ended up having really great conversations, explaining to people what and who we are. And it was so funny to watch them just look at me every time one of the awards were announced because they were like, "Who are you? What are you guys doing?" We got 4 out of 5 awards, which I was really proud of. But I will never forget the stares that I got for that little half an hour of the award ceremony at that luncheon.
But they were good stares. They were in awe of everything that Sea to Sky has accomplished.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was just not what I was expecting. Like every time they would announce our name, people would just like collectively just look at me.
Just rapid fire award winning,
Yeah.
especially with the rapid fire award distribution that they did.
Yeah.
That is a very unique experience, and I'm so glad you were able to have that.
You know, Shambhavi, that's one of the best parts of attending convention is finding that one open seat and meeting so many new sisters from across the country. And they have different ideas, or the way they run their chapters are a little bit different. And it's so exciting to, like I said, learn those new faces so that you'll run across each other again in the future during the convention, but then even later on. But also just like I said, different chapters run different events, and gaining those new ideas of fundraising or just fun chapter activities. It's so exciting.
Hilary, would you like to share with us your highlights from the convention?
My highlight is definitely ritual every single time. I got an email asking to help with opening ritual, and I actually replied back and I was like, "Can I do candle lighting? Because I love candle lighting." It's so cool seeing all of the chapters all together at once and like figuring out where your chapter is and when it was installed and seeing when other chapters were installed and just seeing how AOPI grew across North America as it went. So that's definitely my favorite. And then a memorial ritual at the end always gets me every single time. I cry and it just hits me in the feels every year. Ritual is definitely one of my favorite, even though it makes me cry. But it just reminds me of undergrad and being close to my sisters and like spending time with everybody and stuff you don't get to do as alumni because we don't do ritual very much, especially like Sea to Sky because we're so spread out. I'm sure you guys do it in person, but I haven't been in person with you guys recently, so haven't had the chance.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because we actually now have permission to do certain rituals online. And with the first one we did was not technically a ritual because it's the Founders Day candlelight ceremony we did in February, and it was a big deal. And we're looking forward to doing a short list that we're allowed to do online. So we'll definitely have those scheduled throughout the year. Rhonda, how about you? What was the highlight for you?
You know, I was just as excited about candlelight and the memorial service as a cheer. I always think about our alpha and our omega. And I was so excited to participate in candlelighting this year. And I probably was a little, I sounded probably like a game show host when I walked up to the microphone and yelled out my chapter instead of being solemn, whatever. But I was excited to be part of Candlelight again because it's been a long time. This was like my 7th convention, and I've only participated one other time. So it was really exciting. But when I really think about what my highlight was, I had the wonderful experience of rooming with Reen Fitzgerald this time. It was just one of those event planning committee happies that happened. And for those of you on the podcast that don't know, every year at convention, they ask everybody to stand. And then first year, yay, we clap, sit down. Second year, sit down. And then, we go through all. Well, Reen is our celebrity, and she has attended, and I'm sorry, 27, 28, but she was the celebrity. And so everywhere we went, everyone had their photo taken with her, had to speak with her. And so I missed a lot of the excitement during the day, but every evening when we were back in the room from 11 to 1, sometimes 2, we were late night talkers. We would rehash our day and what fun we had had. So seriously, rooming with Reen was the highlight of this year.
Did the name tag stickers even go up that high for 28 years?
I don't know. Did we peel off a 2 and an 8 and stick them
Yeah.
And for our podcast listeners who don't know Reen, she's an initiate of our Pi Kappa chapter at the University of Texas. She lives in Austin now. She has not continually lived in Austin, but she has lived in Austin for many years. She's served the fraternity in a number of ways, most recently as a member of the Ritual, Tradition, and Jewelry Committee. And prior to that, she was a network specialist alumni, so coaching and guiding alumni chapters, primarily in the what I think is now Network 3 and Network 6 areas. She's a legend in the AOPI world.
And just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a smile, always a sweet comment.
Oh, thank you all for sharing your moments. Those are really sweet and very unique to your person and the reasons why they were so special.
Mm-hmm.
I know it can be very scary the first time. The great thing about convention is that you can choose your roommate. I did not. And that's another thing. It's just like Shambhavi, sitting at a table of women she had never met before. You never know about that roommate, and that time that you spend together, you just truly get to know each other on a deeper basis. Fantastic.
Well, I am curious to know what each of our participants today, a big takeaway was for you, particularly when it comes to sea to sky, how that influences or what you can contribute to the chapter based on your experiences, but also in addition to sea to sky, any other alumni chapters that you might belong to as well. What was a takeaway for you?
Not necessarily a takeaway to bring back and say, look, we need to do this, 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 and this, but more of a takeaway of enlightening and empowering. We continue to be strong women.
Mm-hmm.
Our founders would be so proud. I was sitting there listening and thinking back on our 2 speakers. We had Space Gal, who was the 100th person in space. Let me think of her last name, or if someone can help me. Calandrelli.
Emily Calendarly.
Emily Calandrelli. My 7-year-old watches her on YouTube. So that was a fantastic connection, but just what she has accomplished. And then the actress, I'm so sorry, I cannot remember their names, but everything that they spoke about was women, and they emphasized today's women and our ambition and our leadership. And that is so AOPI. That is each of us in what we do today, whether it be our careers or our home life. We are ambitious women. And another thing that just really, Shambhavi was talking about the awards. I think back on my years as a collegiate chapter and how we struggled to fundraise for Arthritis Foundation. And I hear the numbers, thousands and thousands of dollars that are raised through smoke out events or strikeout events. There are so many different options out there today, and we're just so in the community. And the AOPI brand is there, and people recognize us. And that just alludes back to our strongness and our ambition and our leadership in the community. And just moving further into that, when I think about $1 million 4 years in a row for, well, at least last convention and this convention for Arthritis Foundation, $1 million, that is amazing. And that is something that I could take back because we work with Jingle Bell Run every year. And it's like, look, we were a part of this. All of our women across America and North America, wow, we were all a part of this. Just the awards and what we're accomplishing. And I just have to throw in that we have Dana on podcast tonight. And Dana was our Adelke Hinton Award winner. And that is for that one alumni who inspires others to remain active in AOPI and to keep going and to be the best that they can be. And yes, Dana epitomizes everything. She speaks to everyone. She's a little part of every chapter, and proud of you, Dana.
Thank you. And that award was so meaningful for me because it does recognize someone who encourages others in their AOPI journey. And that truly has been my goal as long as I've been certainly an alumna, but I think even in my short collegiate time, I want others to discover, hold on to the best of the AOPI experience and to be recognized for that. I'm so humbled, so touched, and so really excited. Job well done. And I'm not done yet. So it was really a remarkable honor.
And isn't that AOPI, inspiring others and inspiring ambition? Dana in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you.
So well deserved. When we were just starting the Sea to Sky podcast, I asked Chantel if she wanted to be on the show. And I explained, Dana and I are doing this. And she's like, Dana Moreland? How did you get her to do it? I'm like, I don't know. I asked. And at the time, I don't think I realized how much more you're involved in AOPI. So every day I get to know you better. I am more and more appreciative of all of the stuff that you do and the time that you donate to Sea to Sky and this particular project. Thank you, Dana.
My pleasure.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hilary, Shambhavi, what are your takeaways from this convention?
Sure. I was just going to say, I obviously attended like both of the alumni president tracks that we were supposed to attend. And I took so many diligent notes. I have my little diary with the notes that we could use for Sea to Sky. But I think one thing that I realized as I was writing everything down was that I do feel like we're kind of on the right track with everything that we've been doing. I know we've been doing a lot. So one thing that I feel like I wanted to bring back was maybe the concept of pacing things out a little bit more for us. And then also just realizing that we're kind of an unconventional alumni chapter. So a lot of the things that we did end up discussing, like in our education tracks, might not directly apply to us. But so like trying to figure out like creative solutions for the kinds of things that we might come up with. I think that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to bring back when tackling whatever situations come up in relation to Sea to Sky particularly.
I think Sky is really well poised to adapt and take what are the more traditional approaches and then adapt them to your own use and to your very unique area of engagement, a phrase that we all started using a lot at convention in relation to our alumni chapters. And I love the idea that there can be kernels of good ideas and that each chapter, each region can take and adapt it to what's best for their membership. We're not all going to be doing the same things. And that to me is one of the strengths and beauties of our alumni chapter experience.
That's one thing I really love about international events and convention and like any international education we actually all get, and bringing in the collegiate perspective on that, because I work more with the collegiate chapters, is that everything kind of is piecemeal. You take and you leave what works best for your chapter. And then you can also share with other chapters like all the best ideas, the best practices, and like sharing that with everybody, and everybody giving the ideas and trading them back and forth is kind of what makes everybody better together, you know? Not to quote Stampede. Obviously, my brain's on Stampede mode quoting better together, but that's kind of my favorite part of all the international stuff. My biggest takeaway is for international events, everybody coming together and seeing the greater AOPI. We have a lot of chapters that feel very not isolated, but they act independently. They recognize more with their chapter name than they would with the AOPI greater world, and actually seeing greater AOPI and seeing all ritual together and everyone singing our songs together and like taking pieces of the training and like sharing ideas with each other. That really brings AOPI down to their campus and shares what AOPI and our founders and all our messages mean to our members, which is really important, especially during recruitment. And they need to have that connection to greater AOPI in order to feel our sisterhood sometimes. And like, yes, it's great to feel sisterhood within your own chapter and like locally, but having that greater, broader experience is just something. And I love to see other people sharing that, especially the chapter presidents or the undergrads that get to come to these things.
If I could wave a magic wand and I had unlimited funds, I would get every collegian to
Right.
convention or a similar international event, but I think especially convention, because I know for me personally, attending convention as a collegiate president was what really sealed the deal in my mind about AOPI being a lifetime commitment. And when I talk to collegians, and there's a collegiate chapter literally in my backyard. My house is 10 minutes away from the University of Nevada campus. And I always, when I talk with the ladies, I talk to them about Big AOPI because it's one of those chapters that kind of did things their own way for a long time. But the Big AOPI way is actually better. But I would want everyone to experience it. It's easy to get bogged down in the day to day. What's going on your campus? How are we on Greek rank? Because although I don't recommend anybody use Greek rank, but we are fixated. Our collegiate sisters can be fixated on those things. And I think that convention and other international events can really reset one's perspective and feeling of engagement to the broader organization.
And I love that our chapter presidents attend, but like you said, if we had a magic wand, I wish we could bring in general members for convention. And yeah, there were some, but it'd be so lovely to show greater AOPI and like everything that we are, the regular member, you know? I wish I had a magic wand so badly.
If I'd gone to convention as a collegian, I think I would have been so motivated to recruit people. Not just that, I just feel like it gives you like your YAOPI. It like sorts that out. So that becomes so much easier. And you kind of fall in love with what you joined like all over again. And it gives you that purpose. So yeah, I think I agree. I also second the magic wand.
We could do that with like crazy fundraising, right? Scholarships.
The next step would be finding a venue that can hold us all.
Yeah.
Even 5 per collegiate chapter. And of course, I mean, I'm not leaving out my beloved alumni. I just think that we really need to capture collegians to help make that connection first. And it's not often that I will put collegians before alumni, but in this case, that's where I would love to emphasize it. Even if each chapter could some fun, yeah, we'd need a huge convention center.
But I'd
Vancouver
love to
has
bring in
one.
a huge convention center.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'd love to bring in, and now it sounds like we're going to Vancouver. Out east, they do Northeast weekend, and a bunch of chapters get together. I'd love to do Northwest weekend, and I know we're the most spread out, but like that would be so much fun for collegiates and alumni.
So let's do it.
That's a great idea, Hilary.
I think California has the most densely populated chapters out here.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that counts as Northwest, is my thought.
I'm thinking Seattle or Portland. I mean, it's still close enough, and then all of the large California chapters can converge.
Yeah, that's close enough for Canadians too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fun cities to visit. I mean, Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, they're all fun to visit. And a lot of times Northeast Weekend is on different campuses because there you can get the large meeting rooms and things like that at a reasonable price, as opposed to having it at a huge expensive hotel with a huge expensive convention center.
Do they stay in like the campus residences then?
They have sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we just need to take over a campus.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be amazing.
Seattle, here we come. Can you all tell me about the most impactful moment during the 2025 International Convention? And maybe Rhonda, you can start us off this time.
The network teams arrive a day early, and we spend one full day in training and collaboration with our specialty teams. And this year we had a speaker whose name was Lindsay Picardo, and she really made an impact with me. She spoke a lot about change. Change happens. And we started the morning talking about technology that we no longer use. Like answering machines on our wall phones, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we don't have this anymore, and how we've all adjusted. It happens. And the same thing happens in organizations, and the same thing happens in our personal lives. And she just really spoke very impactful on just how to navigate change. I mean, we always talk about conflict resolution, but change does cause conflict. But it's really more of just having to refocus and be resilient and move forward. And I just really appreciated that. I don't know, Hilary and Dana, if they felt the same, but I was also sitting at a wonderful table. My NSLE team was there, and we had some network specialists from the collegiate side sitting with us. And we were all open and honest. I mean, from the very beginning of the morning, we were able to share. And so I think that also made the event more impactful. I really enjoyed listening to her on how to navigate change. And uh, she did speak a little bit about conflict resolution. And this is what really hit me, was just going back to the basics of sisterhood. And when there is a conflict, not taking things personally, but taking your time and spending time with that other person and listening, just listening to their point of view and finding some common ground and moving forward from there. I just really enjoyed her.
It was a very impactful session. It was well worth it.
Yeah. Her
Well,
point
you
on
know what they say, change is growth.
her point on empathy and finding the common ground so that you can actually like relate to the person you're working with and understand them on a deeper level. Because what was it? It was like you think it's going to take 10 minutes and it only takes 3 minutes to actually understand somebody. So you think it's not worth the time, but it's definitely worth the time because it helps your relationship and you get to the outcome faster, like logically, but also just on a sisterhood side. She was a really great speaker. I'm really glad they brought her in.
I am too. I mean, and we were there for the AOPI greater good, but what she taught us works with family dynamics,
Yeah.
career dynamics when you're in the office or when you're on a Zoom call. It's fantastic. Can't say more. I think that's where I need to give that shout out to AOPI Foundation and the events team for providing the funding for her to speak to it.
That was from Foundation.
Usually Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually the foundation helps.
You
I didn't
are
know that.
100% correct. Yes, most of the cost of the speakers is covered by the foundation, as well as the educational leadership. The ELCs significantly is funded by the foundation.
Huh. That's amazing. I really love how like interconnected AOPI is that way, you know,
Our
supporting one
foundation
another.
is really incredible, really incredible.
So remember this next time with Rose Tributes and Pi Day and Giving Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
All wonderful events for a great cause. Hilary, would you like to share your most impactful moment?
My favorite or most impactful moment was actually Susan's speech at the end. And I'm sure she wrote it ahead of time, but it sounded very much like she was able to reflect on the week a lot and include everything that had happened. And it was very poignant from like just what's happening in the world right now. And it's very comforting that our leadership is so aware of everything our members are facing. And I love that the now is not a time to be patient. I love that that came from her daughter, which is very related to our collegiate member age, I'm sure, because I think her kids are early 20s. And she said their ages during the speech. I shouldn't have remembered that, but I didn't. But it gives her some resonance with our collegiate members. And I love that her daughters were involved and that they were there too. I love when executive board brings their families and you actually get to see them off like Instagram, and they're real people. It's kind of fun to see.
And that is one of those great takeaways that we can bring back to our chapter, because how many times have we said, oh no, this isn't the right time?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Susan was saying. You can't say that. You just have to take the moment and move forward.
Well, it's that empathy piece too, right? Like just because it's not important to you doesn't mean it's not important to anybody else.
Right.
So she phrased it really well and she delivered it really well. And I love that the origin was from family and from a collegiate age, and just bringing it all together to summarize the week was, I cried a little bit during it. It was just perfect.
It was a great ending.
Yeah.
How about you, Shambhavi?
I was just gonna say, I mean, we've already talked about the Space Gal. We've talked about Emily's little speech. I think the way she spoke, the story she told, how she grew up was very much similar to how I grew up. So I could personally relate to like a lot of the things that she said. Also, like being in a generation that severely struggles with imposter syndrome, that like really hit home, because I think she said you don't absolutely have to be the smartest kid in the classroom to achieve something. You just have to work hard for it. She talked about like how the one test that she took and the one question that she wrong, like made her question everything that she was going to be doing. And I was like, we've all been there. I've been there for a fact. I know it. Listening to her speak, she put a lot of things in perspective. It was comforting to hear her speak. It was, yeah, that was really great. And I was actually sitting with Keiko, who is the chapter president for Beta Kappa, during that, and we both looked at each other, and because we were both in university together, she's still at university and I graduated, which is kind of sad, but we both kind of looked at each other and we were just both talking about how we struggled with like similar things. Having someone who also went through the same things achieve the things at the heights that she has, if she could do it, I could do it too. So that was really like, she embodied like Inspire Ambition that night for the both of us at least, and we had a great time.
Thank you for sharing all of these highlights. And with the stuff you talked about, Rhonda, like most people don't know what happens in those extra days when you're there. So it's a nice window into the network specialist experience.
Well, it's a little different every year. But usually we meet as a full network team in the morning and have a mini State of the Union. This year was a little sad. Our two membership committee alumni, executive board members who were leaving said goodbye to us, and that was sad. I'll miss them, but they'll still be around, and I know they'll find their niche now that they're not on executive board. But then Lindsay was introduced, and it was a great morning because she spoke, but then there were activities, and then she spoke a little more and went a little deeper. As I said, we had a great little round table, though. Great discussion. And then in the afternoon, from our perspective, the NSLE team met with Kayla, and we discussed alumni issues. And then Hilary, from since I'm not in network anymore, did you break into network teams, or did you break into membership recruitment teams?
We broke into our network teams, and then we went over goals of what we personally can do to change our chapters going forward. And like not actually meeting all these women, because I've met them all before, but spending time and seeing them face to face and like feeling the energy of that excitement and goal setting and like all being together. Oh my God, that was thrilling. That was like, just watching them all work is honestly inspiring, because like I see all the work they do, but seeing it in person and like seeing the excitement when they make a goal, or like see they can change something or influence something or like have something, some kind of impact on AOPI or like a single member is absolutely amazing. However, we were in a room that was like 38 degrees and there was no air conditioning. And they're like, oh no, all the education sessions are in here. And we're all just melting. And we're like, maybe we just move to the restaurant. We can't do this anymore. It was really funny.
Well, sadly, we were very comfortable, but we had a great view of the pool, but we weren't near the pool. We were in session.
That's almost worse because then you're just watching everybody at the pool. You should have just moved to the pool.
It was a little warm out.
But we had a great planning session, and we have some very ambitious goals for growing and enhancing alumni engagement in the near future, and we'll be rolling that out as we are able and as things progress. So that was a great session.
Absolutely.
Well.
I think that's another thing that made this convention just wonderful. AOPI bounced back from pandemic so tremendously, and these last 6 years with the executive board and the foundation board and the properties board, and then all of our separate network groups, when you think about the NSLE team and what we've accomplished in our new alumni chapters and the wine, and sorry about that. Dana can tell you more about the wine, but AOPI
Adventures.
There you go. It's just fantastic where we've come and what we're planning for the future. And the same thing with the events team. Look at this year, how fantastic with the speakers they've chosen and the theming. And I cannot wait for Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville, yes.
And speaking of Louisville, that is a great segue to our next question, which for each of our panelists is, what tips do you have for future convention attendees? What would you recommend they do, whether they're a first timer or whether they're a seasoned convention attendee?
I want to say pace yourself. By like Friday afternoon, you're exhausted and it's fine to have a power nap. It's a long haul and it's a long week and it's a lot of socializing. If you're an introvert, that's a lot on you to like be social and talking and smiling and like engaged all the time, even during sessions, because like a lot of it is collaborative, right? Maybe not business sessions, but the education sessions. So yeah, just pace yourself. Take your downtime where you need. Take a nap where you need. That's what the pool lawn chairs are there for.
I was just going to say, like, as a first timer myself, I think obviously it's overwhelming. Like Hilary said, as an introvert, it is a lot to take in. But as a first timer, I think one of the things that I would suggest to sit on a table with maximum amount of people that you don't know. Because I think it's a great conversation starter. Like you do end up talking to a lot of people, making friends, and just like getting to know so many people who probably feel the same as you, and making random plans with people that you see like on the Hula app. Because I ended up going to get in and out with 8 different people that I did not know, and that was a really fun time. And then probably just not to travel with just one little carry-on, because there's going to be so much stuff that you need to get back.
Did you travel with one little carry-on?
Yes, I was so proud of myself because I fit everything in my one carry-on and my little backpack. And then we ended up getting so many awards that I had to have Nico bring back the cup for us. And I traveled with our the little Inspire Ambition awards. I was like, I just physically cannot take this with me right now.
That's hilarious. I'm really proud of you for traveling with just a carry-on because that is real ambitious.
Just, kind of adding on to what Shambhavi said, it is overwhelming, but my suggestion is to prepare ahead of time. I was really impressed this year with all the different groups who were on Zoom calls and running through the call discussing, or being a part of the International Convention Facebook page just to be in touch with what's happening. Of course, HUVA has the ride shares, but that was also on the Facebook page as well. Bracelet making. Just be informed ahead of time so it isn't so overwhelming and you kind of have a clue of what's happening. Even though once you reach the hotel, it's amazing and you easily lost and but so much fun. Just prepare ahead of time and know what the amendments are about. I mean, they're there because as the speaker talked about, there's always change, and AOPA is just staying in touch with the future.
I tag into that as well. It's prepare, prepare, prepare. And especially if you are a delegate, so you're going to be voting in the business meetings, absolutely not only read the call, but discuss it with and get a consensus, ideally, with whichever group you are representing. And if you have questions or thoughts or comments, go ahead and talk to the authors ahead of time, if at all possible, because not only will you be more informed, but you might be able to add a worthwhile amendment. We certainly had that happen. It was a great synergy to make our legislation about alumni chapter operations that much more impactful.
Yeah, we definitely really enjoyed our meeting prior to convention, talking about those amendments and really getting a deeper understanding of what the thought behind is, and then work together to collaboratively iron out maybe some of the language or make suggestions that can be put on the floor. That was a very nice highlight for me. A way to participate without going. Our last question for all of you is, what would you like to see at the next international convention?
I know it's absolutely impossible because of finances, but I would love an extra day just to have those personal contacts. I mean, Hoova's great, and we're running from place to place taking photos here and there, or the book clubs are swapping books as we're coming in and out of meetings. Very little time to just sit and have those one-on-ones. I was able to do that 2 years ago, and I don't know how, because it was boom, 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 no free time this year. So, boy, would I really like to have an extra day just to visit with everybody.
I'd love if they would bring back excursions that they used to do, like when it was in Texas and they all went to the stockyards. Because going and doing something fun with your sisters, not that business meeting isn't fun. We all love business meeting. Doing something a little more fun with your sisters is really good. And like we had free time, but doing it in the morning, like I feel like we all just slept in or we had coffee together. It wasn't as exciting as going off site and seeing where we were and exploring the city and spending time together. And half the crazy adventures I have at convention are like trying to get back from those excursions. Or like one time I broke a heel and I had to walk back in bare feet through LA. So, crazy stupid stuff that would not happen otherwise.
I love that, Hilary. I remember when we went to Washington, D.C. 2017, maybe. I'm guessing
And it was the
that one.
zoo?
There were 3 excursions. I mean, we had the baseball game. There was a group that went and toured the Smithsonian's at a different time.
Okay.
And then we also were just down the street from the Smithsonian Zoo, and we were going to see the pandas. But that year there was a lot of discussion, and I cannot remember why. So one of our business meetings, one of our free times turned into a business meeting. But the Smithsonian was so fantastic to open their doors early for us. So somewhere around 6 o'clock in the morning before the zoo opened and before our first session, a large group of us walked to the zoo and fed the pandas. And I remember they donated a painting that one of the pandas painted for us, which I think is hanging in headquarters.
I love that. I love that they opened early for us because business got in the way. Like, and getting to see pandas because there's not very many in North America. That's amazing.
And that was the year the panda became our official mascot.
It wasn't official before then? Oh my
It
gosh.
was
That's
unofficial until
crazy.
that convention when our TNJ announced it. It was very, very exciting. Something else that was super fun, and thinking about what Hilary said and those adventures we have in the part-time. Back in 2017, Game of Thrones was so hot, and there was a Game of Thrones pop-up bar in DC while we were there. So myself and some ale pies I had not met before, we got a ride share and we went to the Game of Thrones pop-up bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was super fun.
What a memory.
Hilary and Rhonda, I was also going to say, like, maybe just a little bit more free time. Like, it's the first time where I just felt it was all go, go, go. And the morning that we did have free time at, like, I think if Tracy would have not, like, figured out that we were gonna like do a little Canadian meetup that morning, I'm pretty sure I would have just slept in, like not would have done anything. So I agree with that one for sure.
I think like another day, but for free time. Like give us 3 afternoons off in a row, you know, so that we can have time with our sisters, do excursions together, have our Canadian meetup, have our network meetups, all the little things that we want to do. Because there's all these little traditions like the book club and like all the million little things. We just can't fit it all in.
And I would love to see more little groups. 2 years ago, the alumni, we were championing them to have smaller group sessions, and then all of the, such as have your craft group, have your game night group, have your reading group, but then you can all come together, but you've bonded in this smaller group, and then you come together for the larger events. And I would love to see AOPI do more smaller little groups. If everybody goes to the Nationals game in Washington together or something, just some way to connect all of our alumni and our collegiate sisters.
Where I work right now, I am in charge of planning events. And one of the things that everyone is trying to focus on is programming for the meeting with spaciousness and then having either a reception or a dinner that is not related to the work that was discussed. And then all of the participants get to connect at a different level and create memories and walk away recharged. So have all of the business and then step away. Creating spaciousness in events is so important. And if we're able to figure that out for a convention, it would be really beneficial and would pay off.
I must say though, the events team did an amazing job, and I would love to have that job. Like that'd be so fun to plan an international convention, and I'd give everybody free time, but they did a great job this year. It was very cool.
At the next convention is, I mean, this was offered during an education track, but I would like it to be offered as a convention-wide event, is the Panda Bear Clinic. Here in the States, the Arthritis Foundation hosts every summer a juvenile arthritis family summit. And one of the highlights is that AOPIs are there and they pass out panda bears to all the JA kids as well as their siblings, which I'm very proud that we do that. And then the kids go through basically a series of mock MRIs because sometimes kids with JA have to experience MRIs and that can be very scary. Mock injections. And the kiddos get to use the pandas as their substitute during like the demonstration of the MRI, and they get to do fake injections into their panda bear. It's a really, really cool experience for the JA kids. We're deeply connected with it as an organization because we provide the pandas, but we are the presenting sponsor. AOPI is the presenting sponsor of this conference, meaning we underwrite a significant amount of it. So at this convention, they did do a mini panda bear clinic. I think we should all experience that and see not only what the people that we are raising money for and contributing money for and serving experience, but also so that we can feel an incredible sense of ownership for that activity and for the JA conference. And rather than competing with the other education sessions, I would like all of our attendees to have the experience of the Panda Bear Clinic.
Oh, wow. I had no idea that this is happening, Dana. Thank you for sharing. And I do hope that more people are able to experience this session in the next convention. I am also very curious to know if the Canadian Arthritis Society has a similar program and how Canadian sisters can participate in it. I guess there's a little bit of homework for me after today. Thank you all for sharing. This has been an amazing conversation, a lovely dialogue about everything convention, and a small snippet and a window into your experiences.
Absolutely. Thank you all for sharing your experiences with our audience. And hopefully inspiring ambition for people to start to plan to attend our next international convention in Louisville, Kentucky in June of 2027. Louisville's a great city with lots of museums close to the hotel. We're going to be downtown at the Omni. So start planning now.
Thanks for listening to Sea to Sky podcast. For Sisters by Sisters with Marina Thompson and Dana Moreland. Brought to you by Sea to Sky Alumna Chapter of Alpha Omicron Pi. Till next time.